Okay, Mario, once again, Friday, December 26th, 2025, and this is probably going to be my last video on this on the swash plates here. I think I've covered pretty much everything that I wanted to cover as far as the swash plate is concerned. Uh, Let me show you some of the stuff that I've done in the past and how these things have evolved from the very, very early beginnings that I started designing radio control helicopters. Back in the day, we're talking about prior to prior to the prior to some of these helicopters, radio controlled electric helicopters coming into the market. I'm talking about the late 70s, early 80s. I already started playing around with some designs that I wanted to make an electric helicopter that I could train myself to fly in the comfort of home. So I did that, and some of the because of the nature of technology, it wasn't at the level that it is today. We have batteries that are very lightweight, motors that are, brushless motors that are very powerful. Back in the day, we were stuck with DC motors, brushed carbon brushes, motors, and NiCads, not even nickel metal hydrides back in the day. And so the frame and the helicopter and all the parts components needed to be light as possible. So even including a little tiny screw would add weight, to the particular model. And so I started making the squash plates this way. You can see that just a fiberglass plate, two fiberglass plates with a center stem, plastic stem, an open inside diameter, and an O-ring kind of glued in place there, a CA glue there. Now the O-rings that I'm using on my new ones, on my 3D printed ones, are actually engaged in a cavity that's molded as part of the 3D printed design. So no more gluing. But this is how I was making my swash plates, and I was using electrical wire sheathing. That's that green, the green tubing that you see there, to effect what would be a ball link. So instead of having ball links, this was a really easy way to do this, and it allows you to pivot the squash plate any which way you want to. So that was one of my first ones, and from there I carried on to now I started getting into CNC machined swash plates, fiberglass, more elaborate ones, kind of staggered to tier. And then I went into injection molded ones. You can see some injection molded ones, and even some really spiffy aluminum ones, once again with the O-ring that I talk about. And some of them even had little balls in there. This is one of the tiny ones that I did, one of my early ones. You can see how tiny, carbon rods, and just using the beads as the ballings that I explained in some other videos. Once again, the O-rings as part of my old aluminum swash plates. So some